Hello, my name's Chad Gist. This is my wife Cathy here with me. I'm the Florida chapter president of Fathers Supporting Fathers, and foremost, I'm a father of 3 kids myself. I'm here today to stand with all the fathers out there who are parenting rights have been denied, in some cases totally ignored. I'd like to take a moment to share with you what brought me to this point in my life. I'm not a perfect person by no means, and I will be the first to admit what I did was wrong. But about 2 years ago, I stepped out of my marriage of 13 years and had an affair with a married woman. That relationship lasted for about 2 years. As a result of that relationship, my youngest daughter was born, and which was proven through DNA. For the first 8 months of my daughter's life, her mother allowed me to get regular visitation, and just about every other weekend, nights throughout the weekend, and even sometimes we had her for 5 or 6 days at a time. Then, in May of this year, my daughter's mother was given the choice by her husband, if she continued to allow me to see my daughter, that he would leave. She chose to end the ties with me and my daughter. At this point, I had no choice but to get an attorney and file a paternity action suit against them to allow me to see my daughter. When I went to court, I offered to pay child support, past child support, medical bills that it took for her to have the child, and just in return, I wanted to be there as a father and receive visitation for my daughter. The judge then delivered the most devastating news of all. He stated that in Florida, if a man and a woman are married and the woman had a child, that her husband is presumed the father, and that I could not file a paternity action suit against them, and to forget about my daughter or change the law. So that's what I'm doing here today. I've spoke with a couple of your offices already, almost all of them, trying to get somebody to sponsor a bill that would actually change that law to allow fathers like me that have DNA tests, to change that law, to actually be able to bring a paternity action suit against them. With the times there are DNA, this law was in place 100 years ago. There was no DNA then. Times have changed. We can actually physically prove that that is my daughter, not just by holding her up and looking at me and saying, she looks like me. That's how it was when this law was put in place. And that's what I'm here doing today.
Wow. Any questions? Thank you.
I have a quick question. Maybe
Sure. Representative McKeel.
Maybe it's of the rest of you as a new guy. I don't understand, with all of these cases, what is there, other than just browbeating DCF and trying to get them to be good actors, what can we do legislatively? I don't know.
And feel free to chime in. I think Judy Selby is the next one to speak.
I'm sorry.
On that. No, that's fine. And I guess what I'd share, maybe Judy wants to respond to it. We as legislators need some help from y'all. I think if we were to say we can take care of this problem, we're just fooling ourselves. Help us, help you. Let me share with you what the issue is. Florida has gone through a very grievous time with the assault of children. The Jessica Lunsford, the Amanda girl over in Bradenton, and others that we all know about. Okay? And because of that, we want to become, as a society and as the elected representative, we want to become very protective of them, which we should, because they're indefensible. What you're saying is because we have set up a system that is so protective and so bureaucratic and dot so many I's and dot T's, we've forgotten the core principle of shouldn't a dad have access to a child, shouldn't a mom have access to a child. In all fairness, you're here on behalf of the dads, but I think we have to agree in this debate that biological folks should have biological equal rights. That's all we're asking for. But the politicians have become extremely protective, and so we have these protective laws. So somebody, and I'm diatribing too much, forgive me, but somebody who chooses to push this bill is going to need some help from y'all to give the anecdotal issue of why it doesn't make sense the way DCF is doing it. Just what was just shared by Mr. Dunn, to say that, well, DCF doesn't have to respond if there's an abuse situation. Well, my first reaction is, my goodness, if it's an abuse situation, you ought to investigate it. And if it's for real, get rid of the guy. And if it's not, dismiss it and go on about life. But to all of a sudden allow it to continue, I don't know if we're taking care of the child at that point. So I think we can get some issues. I would just tell you, the legislator, and I'm not afraid to be asked to do something like this, but I think Baxter Troutman, who slipped out for a moment, he's saying feel free to come to him. We want to help, but we're going to have to ask y'all to help us. So,
but I mean, common sense stuff like that. Do we really have to pass a law to tell DCF to investigate quicker? I mean, that's just.
Can I speak for just a second?
Yeah, go ahead.
I've actually done some investigation on the DCF.
Oh my.
And now I'm going to actually step up and I'm going to defend DCF.
Okay. Well, that's. I mean, I'm trying to present what I just said in a balanced way.
Defend DCF.
Yeah.
The DCF worker can be held criminally liable if a child is placed back into a home and the child is hurt. You guys probably remember the case several years ago in Polk County, the child that was killed by the father that was put in the toilet and killed. The father completed classes. The mother completed classes. There was no reason the DCF worker couldn't put that child back in that home. She had to put the child. The only thing she had was gut instinct, but there was no reason for her not to put the child. Subsequently, the child was killed. The DCF worker was criminally prosecuted for child neglect. A DCF caseworker is not a god. They cannot tell the future. All they can do is go by gut instinct and what is presented before them. So, in their defense, they're saying, hey, I'm not going to do anything. Let's just put everything in front of the judge, take the father's rights away or the mother's rights and let the judge worry about it. And 6 or 7 months go by, and the child is now out of the parents' lives. As in my case, that's exactly what they did. They didn't want to risk putting the child back with me because maybe I am a bad person.